folks, Lochlainn here, Mossstone Woodlore. So for a little walk today. I've been out for a few walks since I made a video last. And, sometimes I just like going out without the camera, and so I'm not focusing on shots and stuff. And just, sometimes it's just nice not going with the camera. So, but today I figured I'd get out, record a video for you guys. And last night I was kicking around town. I had a few errands I had to do, and stopped into Harbor Freight. I had a 20% coupon. And, so I was looking at a couple things in there, and I originally was going to go in and pick up a wool blanket. They have really nice wool blankets. They're 80% wool, and I love them. I've got 4 of them now, I think. And just have one on the bed, one on the couch. I cut one up in half for a couple mini blankets. I actually have that with me today. But yeah, while I was in there, I was looking at this. They have this, they call it their 8-inch hunting and survival knife, or survival and hunting knife. And I've seen it in there for the past couple of years, and I always pick it up. It's like kind of that Rambo kind of style knife, and I figure it's probably cheap Chinese steel, something kind of soft, but it felt pretty hefty, and it's like, why not? So I put the blanket back and picked up one of those, and figured we'd come out today and just play around with it. It's kind of that, when you're a kid walking through the flea market and you see those like Rambo style survival knives, you pick them up, you're like, oh, these are cool looking, and or if you're 34 years old walking through Harbor Freight and you walk by and you pick it up, like, oh, Rambo knife, those are cool looking, So yeah, I guess I'm a Toys R Us kid. So whoa, that's pretty deep right there. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. We're gonna go out and make a hot beverage and kind of play around with this knife, and just fun side project, see what it can do. Maybe there's a few guys out there that have seen it and just kind of curious what it looks like. I wrote down the specs on it and stuff, so we'll go over that and kind of put it through the paces and whack on some stuff that's kind of hard and see how the steel holds up and all that. So let me get out of this hole that I just fell into, and then we'll hike in a little bit and set up. Well, I think I found a place where I'm going to set up here. Found some hardwood here. It's feels pretty hard, no pun intended. So something to whack on there, and nice little tree to sit up against. Nice spot in the woods here. So yeah, we're gonna try to clear a little spot to sit down and set up, and we'll check in with you. Alright guys, well, set up here, got my backpack on the tree, and there's a few things around the area that I kind of wanted to remove, just to one, just to play around with the knife, and two, just a few things that are in the way here. So I think it'd be a good opportunity to take the knife out and see how it performs. So I haven't used this knife yet. This is the first time using it, and so you and I, we'll all learn together how it performs. I did write down a bunch of specs before I left the house, and once I get a blanket laid out, we can take a look at it close up and then go over specs. So I won't go into that right now, but let's see what it can do. But before I do that, I did want to show you that I did have to sharpen it. It came really quite dull, and I mean the very end was completely blunt. I had to do a lot of work on that. I ended up the bevel was like all over the place. I spent like about 15 minutes on the belt sander, just going real gently so I didn't heat it up, and brought an edge out on it. It's not scary sharp, but it's definitely field sharp. I was taking a little hair off and slicing through paper just fine. So let me see if I can get a close up. I'm going to get the camera set up, and then I'll show you. Alright, so a few hairs on my arm here. It's not scary sharp like I said, but I don't know if you can see in the, see if it'll focus here. There's a few hairs on the end there. So it is pretty sharp. I mean, definitely field sharp for the kind of stuff that I'd want to do with it. I wouldn't be doing too many fine tasks with it, I don't think. But yeah, so it's sharp right now, and now we're going to beat on it and see if we can, we'll test it at the end and see what it looks like. Alright, well, I needed a little sapling. Put my tripod on it. I don't actually carry a tripod. I have this little, like a gorilla pod type tripod, and so I need a stick. So I found this little sapling here. I figured it'd be a good time to test out how it chops. Well, I can already hear some rattling though. That's not good. There's a Allen wrench set screw here that I had to tighten up when I first got it. There was a little play. I loosened it right up, just a couple whacks. So as far as chopping goes, well, I had to figure out another solution for, I don't know, super gluing that in there, and then maybe using some Loctite on the set screw. But you can hear that rattling. So I did bring the an Allen wrench with me to tighten that up, because I had a feeling that was going to happen. So let's go repair this after one chopping session, and go from there. So we got our knife here, and it's rattling around, so I pull out the Allen wrench set here, and there's just an Allen wrench set screw right there. That put that down inside and snug it up, and the rattle's gone. So if I can figure out a mod to keep that set screw from moving, I don't think it'd move around too much. I could probably put some epoxy or super glue down in here, and take the blade out, put that down in there. I believe you can take the blade out. I think there was a few people that were talking about that. Let's take a look here real quick. I don't know if you guys will be able to see down there, but the bottom of the blade comes to about maybe right there, sticks down inside, and you can probably get some, either ooze some super glue down through there, or maybe that'll actually come off. I'll have to play around with it and see if that actually, you can take that out, but somehow be able to affix that blade in there firmly so it's not bouncing around. I did also notice that this compass piece, there's a little compass on the bottom there, the cap here rattled loose as well while I was chopping, which is to be expected, I guess. So, and we're talking about a $7 knife here, so you definitely have to temper your expectations for what you're getting here. But I like finding inexpensive items and modding them out so that they're more useful. That's one of my favorite hobbies, is just finding like a deal and then modding it out so that so that it's more useful. And a lot of these things out of the box, you kind of buy them as like blanks. So same thing with like some condor knives that I've gotten. It's like a kind of buy a blank out of the box. At least that's the way I view them. And so yeah, we got that snugged back up. I don't think I'm going to do too much chopping today with it, because I'm going to have to keep tightening that up, and I don't want to strip that out or anything. And so it definitely has the weight. It's about a pound, the whole knife, so it does have the weight to chop. But if you got a hatchet or an actual chopping tool, that's what you'd want to be using instead of your knife. But obviously everyone wants to know if it can chop though, and this definitely has the weight behind it to be able to do some chopping. And so I wanted to show you that. All right, so let's test this little saw on the back here, see how that works out. All right, so let's get this branch here, see how this saw works on that. Well, it's cutting, but it doesn't feel like it's biting. It's more like it's the word, filing it off, I guess. Doesn't really feel like it's cutting much. It is doing the trick though. So I mean, I did cut it. Feels a little awkward though. It doesn't really feel like it's, when you have a saw, you can feel like it's actually, you pull it and you feel the teeth bite in either way. And whether it's one that bites on both forward and backwards or just backwards. But yeah, so I mean, it works. If you need a saw in a pinch, it will cut, but it didn't really feel like it was all that great. But it does the trick. And again, we're talking about a $7 knife. So I got a stick here. I've been kind of playing around with a little bit, just doing general carving tasks. My hand, I like usually having a choil, or at least being able to choke up, and you can on this. It does feel slightly awkward though. Doesn't feel quite comfortable, I guess is the word. There's a hot point right here, and there's a hot point right there. So I wouldn't want to do this all day long, but it does have this spine here that you can, oops, sorry, bump the camera there. You can get up on, and the spine is very, very sharp, which I like. And I'll have to show you in a little bit. I was playing around with a ferro rod with it last night, and man, this thing can throw some sparks. But yeah, you can get up on. It kind of hurts a little bit though, because it is really sharp. Using your thumb. Now, it's cutting all right. It's basically cutting the way I would think a large knife like this would cut. I mean, this isn't a Mora, you know what I mean? And you're not going to have that with a Scandi grind and a Mora and a real thin blade. It's just going to slice through like butter. So, but this does the trick, a survival knife should be able to do, at least in my opinion, a survival knife by definition should be able to do a lot of different tasks. Maybe not as well as knives that are specifically designed for certain tasks, but it should do all of them at least fairly well. It does have a saw on it, we saw, and yeah, it'll work. It's I wouldn't want to be building a log cabin with that, but if you needed to cut a couple little things, yeah, it works. You know, making some tent stakes, like something like that, a spear point. It's doing the trick, you know. So chopping, obviously we kind of addressed that we need to work on that that set screw there to make it so it doesn't move around. I mean, this is also, it's not full tang. I mean, it only goes to right there, so this isn't going to be a chopper. Isn't going to be something you'd want to chop with, I guess, a lot, which is probably one of the reasons I wouldn't choose this as my knife, because you couldn't, it isn't full tang. It's gonna, could eventually snap. This is aluminum, and yeah, I mean, it's a $7 knife though, you know. But yeah, I mean, it cuts. The tip here, let's see how the tip works. The tip actually feels pretty good. Yeah, tip feels pretty good. So you can get that tip nice and sharp. You can do some of that finer, you know, finer carving tasks. Carving little notches and stuff like that. So let's do what everyone wants to see in baton with it. Everyone wants to see the batoning, so let's I'll get the Baco, we'll cut a couple pieces of wood and then see what she wants to do. Alright, so time for some batoning action. I cut down that hardwood tree that I pointed out earlier, and cut myself a baton as well. See if I can get that in frame. And I have no doubt that this is gonna baton. I mean, I've seen people baton with a butter knife, but you know, it does have quite a bit of reach with that 8-inch blade. So let's give it a shot. Let me see. I'm gonna move over a little bit so I don't whack the camera here. No rattle on that one. Alright, we got a little rattle on that now. So I was about just a couple there. Was that 3 of them? And we'll keep going a little more, even though it's rattling a bit. Yeah, a little more rattling. Alright, so we got a pretty good sized knot there. And she's rattling. But you bust through it. Inspecting the edge. I don't see anything. Well, we got this thing right here. See if we can frame here. Really try to whack. See how this edge holds up here. Try to hit different parts of it. Alright, this thing's rattling like a skeleton now. The bottom here loosened up. The top, that set screw definitely loosened up. But I have a feeling that might be able to be addressed with, like we were talking about earlier. So see what the edge looks like. So I get it to focus here. I don't see any chipping. This nail just really hit that thing on the end there. Hit the tip. You know, that's holding up pretty good. Pretty surprised. I really didn't think the edge would hold up to that. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if that's showing up in camera, but there's a few hairs right there. Still taking hair off. That's pretty cool. Well, that's a plus. That surprised me. I didn't think the steel was gonna hold up to that kind of abuse. And rattling like crazy, but well, and obviously this thing is rattling, but you could always take that off and put it in your pocket so you don't lose it. Take all that stuff out and I'm not going to beat on it too much more because I don't want to do any damage inside there. So let me tighten this thing up again. Alright, well I got a couple of these pieces that I just batoned. Here we'll see what it can do with feather sticks. This is after beating on it too, so there's a piece of oak here. I'm choking up on it like that. That feels the most comfortable to me making these. So let me try it with just holding it like that. See how that feels. Yeah, I can do it. Doesn't feel as comfortable. So we'll choke up on it again. Not too bad. Put a convex edge on that. It seems to be doing all right. Yeah, not too shabby. You know, so far, what I'm most impressed about with this knife is the steel. I did not anticipate the steel holding up to that abuse. And I mean, you can see it's still making feather sticks. I took the tip here, which felt like the sharpest part of the blade. I still need to work a little more on the rest of it, but I mean, I'm using right here, but the tip there took a little hair off, and you know, this part of the blade here seems to be sharp enough to make some feather sticks. I don't use feather sticks much, but they're handy to know how to use, how to make rather, and it's a good skill. But yeah, feather sticking just fine, no problem. Not too shabby. I mean, talking about, I think I said I paid $7 earlier. I paid $7.99 for it, so pretty close to $7. For $7.99, not too shabby. Now, if I can figure out how to tighten that thing up, keep that from moving around, wouldn't be a bad, you know, knife to throw in the truck or something. Just have kicking around. I mean, you could beat on it and not feel bad at all. $7.99. Just don't go out to Chinese takeout one night or something, you know. Yeah, so well, I'm gonna set up a blanket here and probably make some tea and or yeah, tea or coffee or something. I don't know. See what I got in my bag, and then we'll go over the rest of the specs of this. I'm going to show you the how well this strikes a ferro rod. I actually brought out a ferro rod that's completely beat. Look at how thin that guy is. Because it is so aggressive, I didn't want to really use it on one of my better ones. But you know, in a survival situation, that's awesome in the sense that you'll get a shower of sparks that are really hot. So let's give this a go here. Look at how many. See, oh, there it goes right away. Throw some crazy sparks. See? Well, I've got some water starting to boil over here. Just wanted to show you again real quick because that went up so fast that this thing throws some crazy sparks. And it just carves right into that thing. It's got a really, really sharp 90-degree spine. Probably the sharpest one I've ever had. So, you know, as far as striking a ferro rod, awesome. It really has me kind of wondering what this steel is, because it definitely took a beating and didn't roll or chip or anything, and it's throwing sparks like crazy. So they say it's a stainless steel. So if I figure out, you know, I'll probably go home, do some reading about it. If I end up figuring out what it is, I'll put it on the screen right now. But if I don't figure it out, and you guys happen to know what kind of steel this is, comment below, because I'm really curious. Oh, I'm going to put a little more wood on this fire here, keep it going, and then we'll check back to you in a second. Let's go over a few specs of this knife. We've played around with it. So like I said before, this is the 8-inch Harbor Freight survival/hunting knife in stainless steel. And the weight of the knife, just the knife, I took out the survival stuff that was inside and just weighed it, including the little lanyard on there though. That was just under a pound, so the whole thing weighs just under a pound, and it feels pretty hefty in your hand. It's got some weight to it. It definitely doesn't feel, you know, lightweight. The aluminum handle too feels, it's stout. It feels like there's something to it. It doesn't feel you know, like you're just gonna bend it with your finger or something. So with the sheath, it weighs 1 pound, 1.16 pounds rather, and that's including the little survival thing that came with it. Hold on, I'm gonna add a couple more sticks here to my fire. Sorry for the little pause here. Let's see, overall length from here to here is 13 3/4 inches. So it's a pretty good sized knife. The cutting edge from here to here is about 8 inches. It was just a hair under 8 inches on my particular one. Your mileage may vary, you know, depending on how much they ground off. Let's see, the blade, like I was saying before, it sits down probably about 1.5 inches down inside the handle, the butt of the blade here. So it's not full tang, you know, because it is a hollow handle survival type knife where you can put stuff inside. So I mean, there's pluses and minuses to that. The plus is that you do have all this storage here, so in one piece you can have a whole little survival kit, which is cool. Let's see, saw section here. That's 3.5 inches long from here to here, and in the sheath. Let's see, I got the sheath on me right now. I'm gonna take it off. Put this guy in the sheath. There's a little, if we can see it here. It's like a little plastic insert. Pretty cheap, just a real cheap plastic insert. The sheath itself is pretty subpar. It's got these really cheap plastic snaps here, just a little plastic snap. It feels like plastic, yeah. Oh, hold on, I gotta deal with my fire here. Get some water boiling here. Let me pause the camera, make my hot beverage, and then I'll check back with you. Little hot cocoa action. We even have a little bit of instant coffee we'll throw in there. Make it a mocha. Alright, we get some hot chocolate. It's quite hot. Mocha, actually. Alright, back to specs here. We got, so we were on the sheath. The overall length of the sheath, the knife, or I should say the sheath itself, is 14 1/4 inches. So you can see that its sheath is just a hair longer than the knife itself. And like I was pointing out before, it has this really cheap little plastic snap here. This section here is pretty large, and it almost feels like a foam kind of material inside here. And yeah, this is quite large, so you know it'll sit on your, up alongside you on your belt, but it does kind of have some play, and I kind of like sheaths that sit really close and tight to me. I don't like it a lot of play and all flopping around and stuff. So, but I mean, again, we're talking about a knife that I paid $7.99 for, so I'm not gonna complain too much. And again, I'm pretty impressed with that steel. I really want to figure out what kind of steel that is. If I can figure out a way to secure that, not a bad little knife, you know. I guess I'd throw it in like a bug out bag, or car bag or something like that. So trying to think if there's any oh yeah, the other thing is I have seen someone unscrew this here. I'm not going to do it now actually, but it seems like this is actually threaded in here and you can unscrew this. And I saw one gentleman had two pieces. He had this and then, you know, this down here. Oh yeah, the other thing we gotta go over here is the little survival kit that's with it. See if I can get it out. It's kind of hard to get out of here once it's in there. Me bugger. Huh. Alright, well, this is new to me. I just took this off and the little, look at that, little compass came right off. So, not a big deal. Can glue that one in. In a way that's kind of nice though, because I have some liquid ones that seem a bit more accurate than this one. And I can always put my own in there. So, not a big deal. Actually, I probably shouldn't have done that, because then I'm going to have to pry it back out. Whatever, we'll stick it back in there for now. I'm sure it'll work loose again. The other thing is I noticed that the one that I got, this O-ring, let's see if I can find the section. This gasket here. Right here, kind of dips down and it doesn't feel like it seals very well. You don't have that like rubberized kind of squishy feeling where you're like, it just really threads right up. So I doubt it's waterproof, and it does seem to rattle off. So if the rubber was catching, I think it would bite a little bit more into the rubber and keep it there. But anyways, let's take a look what we got in here. I mean, this stuff, yeah, I guess could save your life, but I definitely I'm going to upgrade the kit. Cool, I throw a couple things in here, but let's see what we got here. I tell you the truth, I don't even care if these get wet, so I'm just gonna throw them down here. So you got a couple matches. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 matches. A little sewing kit here. One very, very thin needle. And some, not much thread, but there's a little bit of thread in there. A couple buttons. And a safety pin. Real cheap. And last but not least, a single hook, some cheap fishing line wrapped around some cardboard here. So very, very, very basic. The nice thing about having, you know, this much space is that you could fit quite a bit down in there. So if I got my ferro rod, if that'll fit. Well, nah, it's a little too long, that one. But you could put a smaller ferro rod down there. I have a smaller ferro rod that I wear around my neck all the time. That I could put something like that in there. Use your imagination. I mean, that's kind of the fun of like buying a project knife like this, is you could make your own little survival kit. So if you happen to pick one of these up and you have a video on it, or you made your own survival kit, you know, put a link below in the comments, and I'd love to check out kind of what you guys did. Like I said, for $7.99, you know, can have a lot of fun with it, you know. And yeah, so if you end up making, you know, a little survival kit for it and you put it in there, just like I said, link below and we'll take a look at it. Kind of wish it was black or something. Not a huge fan of this color, but can't complain. Or I guess I can, because I just did, but alrighty, so let's get all this stuff back in here. I won't bore you with that process, and we'll check back in a sec. Alright, well, I have a couple final thoughts on this knife. First, some of you may be like, why are you even reviewing a Harbor Freight knife at $7.99? Well, for the first thing that comes to mind is it's fun. It's fun to go out and buy a knife that's $7.99, bring it out in the woods and play with it. I mean, so I had a lot of fun out here today, and accomplished my goal of having some fun with $8, so. Two, one of the other reasons that I figured I'd do this is that maybe someone got this as a gift, or maybe you saw one and you thought about picking one up, or just kind of wondering what it was about, what it could do. When I first saw it, I thought the steel in it was really probably just some cheap 440 or something that would deform really easily in batoning, and I was pleasantly surprised that it held up. So, there's some shortcomings to this knife for sure, and the fact that it rattled free, that's huge. I mean, that's a big thing. But when the steel held up, it kind of made me go, that's kind of neat. That for $7.99 you get a hunk of steel that actually holds up. You have to temper your expectations for what you're getting. It's a knife that's $7.99, normally I think it's around $10. They always have them as on sale usually, and they say it's normally like $19.99, but I always see them for $9.99 usually, and then with a 20% coupon off, you can pick them up for $8. But so yeah, like I was saying, one of the other reasons is maybe someone wants to pick one up. They've been like me, they're kind of walking by it the past couple of years and just wondering what it was. Or maybe, maybe you've got one of these already and you're just kind of wondering whether you should keep it or upgrade or whatnot. And that'll be kind of my closing thoughts on this, will be kind of about that. It's just that, is this a capable knife? Absolutely, it's a knife. If you were out here with a rock, and trying to do some of those tasks, this is going to be a heck of a lot better than a rock, And you've probably heard before that the best survival knife is the one that you have with you. So if this is what you got with you, that's a lot better than, I would feel more comfortable trying to survive with that. And I have a little tiny neck knife, Condor Fidelis, which is great. I absolutely love this. This is EDC blade for me, and I always have a small blade on me with a fire steel. But if I'd rather have something like this than that to try to do all those tasks. I'm not going to be batoning or chopping with that little guy. So if this is what you have in your pack, make it work. Would I recommend this? You go out and buy this as your end-all survival blade? No, I wouldn't. Why? Because for a few dollars more, there's a lot of better options, I think. One would be just picking up a Mora. While it's not going to be as big, you get really good steel, and you can do a lot of fine carving tasks with it. If you're getting into bushcraft and you're like, should I go with one of these, Rambo style big old knives, or say like a Mora? I would go with the Mora, any day of the week. Obviously you're going to have limitations of what you can do with that. You're not going to be able to baton as much or chop with it, but you can have a baton and do some chopping and get around that, cutting stuff down. But for the price, $7.99, hey, why not? But like I was saying, if you're trying to figure out whether this is the knife that you should carry in the woods at all times, when you go out, it's the knife that you carry. Hey, if this is what you can afford and this is what you have, then by all means, I'm not knocking it at all. It's a lot more than a lot of people have. So, but I do think there are better options out there. Like for example, Lochlainn just came out with the Frontier series for, you know, in the $30 to $40 range. You get full tang, $10.95. There's some really good videos on that. I have one coming to me. It's been on back order because I had to send it in. I had some problems with it. Can't wait to get that and do a review, but I'm pretty confident that that's going to be a good knife. But yeah, I mean, then there's obviously all the, you know, if you're looking for a full tang, something hefty and big like this, like again the Lochlainn or a lot of the K-bars. But anyways, I'm rambling here. But Harbor Freight, $7.99. Their survival hunting knife here. You know, I'm gonna make this part 1, and you know, once I play around with it and do some mods, maybe work on a little survival kit for it. Just a fun little project. You know, this probably won't be the knife that I carry with me all the time because it's not full tang and it has a lot of those issues. But you know, it's a fun project, and I mean, look at it. It's like, I mean, what kid didn't see the Rambo knife and be like, yeah, Rambo knife? You know, there's just a fun factor to something like this. So I'll try to work on a part 2 here eventually once I mod it out and figure out how to keep that thing from rattling, so I can actually do some chopping and batoning, and maybe I'll do a part 2 of this down the road here. But yeah, if you have a Harbor Freight near you, or you want to pick one up online, up to you. I mean, you've seen the shortcomings of the knife, so totally up to you. But I just figured I'd, you know, like I said earlier, I was at Harbor Freight yesterday just kicking around, and figured I hadn't been out in the woods in a little bit. Oh, I'll pick one of those up and go play around with it in the woods, make a video on it. So that's what we did today. So I'm gonna shut up here, gabbing away, and finish my mocha here before it gets cold. I think it's still warm. Yep, still pretty hot. So I hope everybody's doing well. Oh, one thing I wanted to give a shout out and a thank you to Jacko over at Muddy Tiger Outdoors. He recently did a video and he gave me a shout out for my channel, and I had some people come over and subscribing from that, and so that was awesome, man. I really appreciate that. If you haven't checked out Jacko's channel, it's Muddy Tiger Outdoors. I'll throw it up on the screen right now, and I'll put a link below. So awesome channel. He's got all kinds of cool gear reviews and goes on hikes, and so yeah, check him out. Cool channel. So hope everybody's doing well, and hopefully I'll be able to get out and make some more videos soon. But it's March, what is it, March 2nd, and I'm sitting in a hole in the snow here. I'm wondering how long it's going to take to melt and get out here in the spring. So looking forward to the spring, but I'm not rushing it though, because I really enjoy being out here in the winter time too. So, but anyways, we'll see you guys next time in the next video, and again, hope everybody's doing well. And this is Lochlainn from Mossstone Woodlore. Hey guys, hiking out. I know I said goodbye, but just had a few closing thoughts. You know, one of the fun things with this project is picking up this cheap knife and heading out here and playing with it in the woods, and it just kind of brings you back to, or at least me anyways, brings me back to the days where, you know, when you're a kid and someone, you know, whether it's your dad or one of your relatives or a neighbor or whatever, gives you your first pocket knife or first knife or whatever kind of knife you have, or you had rather, and you know, you head out in the woods with that, and you are just the happiest kid alive because you got your first knife, you know, and you didn't think about, oh, is this 1095 steel, or, you know, I wonder how the temper is on this, and you know, thinking about all the different options out there. All you knew is that you were out in the woods and you had a knife and you're having a blast. And so I think, you know, myself included, I'm including myself in this, that we can sometimes get in this mindset where we're just constantly exposed to new gear, the newest best thing, and the newest knife and backpack, whatever it may be. And you're always kind of looking forward to the next best thing, you know? And I don't know, I think it's important though to realize that you don't need crazy gear to enjoy yourselves in the woods. And you don't need crazy gear to even survive in the woods. What you need is knowledge and a skill set. And those of us that do this a lot and have a passion for this, you know, I can only speak for myself, but I know that there's a lot of us that just just are always working on improving upon what we already know, learning, adding to our knowledge base and our skill set, so that you can take, say, what many would call a subpar knife or a subpar piece of equipment, and run circles around someone who has the, you know, the newest gadget or the newest fancy piece of gear, but they have the knowledge, you know? If you have that knowledge and that skill set, that's what's really important. Not what knife you have and what the steel's made out of and, you know, all that. So, I don't know. Just kind of a closing thought on encouraging all of us, that, including myself, just to get back to basics, you know? Back to your first love while you're out here. And, you know, for me, it's all about being in God's creation. And the woods, for me, have always been, you know, just really therapeutic. I lost my dad when it was actually the day before my 14th birthday, and, you know, after that I just spent so much time out in the woods, and it was just really healing, and I felt a peace when I was out there. You know, when everything else around me was going crazy, you know, I'd get out there and I'd always feel, you know, peace. And I still feel that when I come out here, and that's one of the reasons I still come out here, because this is always where I feel like myself when I'm out here. I feel like, yeah, I just feel like myself. So anyways, rambling again, but, you know, just an encouragement to all of us. Let's get back to basics, you know? If you've got $7.99 Harbor Freight knife, or a little pocket knife, or whatever you got, you know, just get out there and enjoy it out here, and don't get all hung up on like having to have the best piece of gear. If anything, take that money that you're gonna go spend on some crazy gear, buy some books on some edible wild plants, or you know, primitive fire making techniques, or, you know, invest in your head and the knowledge that you carry with you, because it doesn't weigh anything and you have it forever. It doesn't wear out. Well, maybe eventually when you get it old enough you start forgetting stuff. I mean, I'm 34, I already find myself forgetting stuff, but anyways, just my closing thought as I'm hiking out of here. Encourage us all, get back to basics, and just be appreciative for what we do have. And especially in this country, in America, where I live, we have so much, and we don't need always to look into the next best thing. So take what gear you got, get out there, and have fun, enjoy God's creation, and work on your skill set rather than your gear. So this is Lochlainn from Woodlore, and we'll see you in the next video, guys.